Hey everyone, today I'll be showing you how to make a mudguard out of a folder. Okay, so I just wanted to start off by saying that this was originally just a printout that I found online, and I painted it and made it look nice. You can find a template yourself online. Just make sure that you print it to the right sizing so it isn't too small. Too big is always okay, but just too small will not fit. What you'll need for this project include some sort of template to cut out the folder from, some sort of scissor, an X-Acto knife also works, and a Sharpie or any other pen that will write on the folder itself to trace out the template. And as you may have thought, you're going to need a folder as well. I like these sorts of folders, which have sort of like that plastic feel to it, which is also what normal like mudguards you buy feel like. That's what makes these so good. As you can see, I've already made a mudguard before from this folder, so one folder generally lasts for two, the front and the back. Just make sure that if you're not going to paint over the color of the folder, just make sure to not include any logos on it. But as you can see, you can probably cut one out that doesn't have any logos. Now the first step would be to make sure that your template is ready to go. This generally just involves printing an image out from Google or anywhere else online and cutting that out with a scissor. Then you can just use that to trace onto the folder, which is going to be our next step. Just to make it easier to make the second mudguard on this side, I'm going to just cut off this side. You can use this later on for other things, but right now I'm not going to be using it, so I can just set that off to the side. I try not to waste as much as possible, but sometimes it has to go to get the shapes right. I'm also going to cut out this and that, just so I have a nice flat surface to work on. Okay, now that we've gotten all that out of the way, we can begin tracing the template onto the folder, and I'm going to do it on this side just to make sure none of the logos come on top of the mudguard, because this side of the mudguard is going to be on the outside of the fork, so you want it to look nice, you know. And I'm going to be leaving this just gray how it is, so gotta make sure it's good. And as you can see, I found a placement where this doesn't come on and neither does that logo, so just place it down. Then I'm going to take a Sharpie and essentially just hold it down as well as I can and then trace the whole thing. You don't have to do this, but I'm also going to take like a piece of tape and like make it double-sided just so it's easier to hold this down, and it will probably come out neater. Not necessary though, you can always just hold it down. I'm just taking this off. Tape comes off easily. You can see we have traced out our ideal mudguard. For the holes to put the zip ties through, we'll get to that later on, but if your template has holes that work well, you can trace. It would be better to trace that down now, although I just like to eyeball it and try and get it neat that way. So this step is pretty optional. Next, all we're going to do is take our pair of scissors and cut out the mudguard. Simple as that. Let's get right into it. Now that we've gone and cut out the mudguard, you can see I've left a lot of room here for me to be able to just go in and trim it out and make it all nice and smooth. You can use sandpaper to do this, or you can just go in with a scissor and you can trim off the Sharpie. If you traced on the other side, which is not going to be on the outside, that shouldn't be too big of a problem, but for me, I want this side towards the visible side, on the outside of the tire and the fork, so I'm going to have to go in and just clean that off with a scissor. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I have trimmed off most of the Sharpie. There is still a little bit in some areas, but the more prominent areas have all been trimmed to look nicer. And next up is the cutouts on the sides for the lowers, as well as the cutouts at the front for what I just called the brace that connects the two lowers. Well, for this I am going to be using an X-Acto knife, but you can use just the same pair of scissors or any other kitchen knife as well. Just remember to be careful, and if you're a kid, then just have a parent or an adult there to watch you, just so that nobody gets hurt. It's never fun getting hurt. So, make the cutouts. I'm just going to start off by just trying to see where might be a good idea. I'm going to not do the top first, just because the sides are generally a bit easier to do. And all you want to do then is take the knife, go how low you want the zip ties to be on the stanchion, on the lowers, and just sort of make a little cut going down, maybe around this point. Yeah, this seems about good. Just gonna make a cut like that. I don't want to scratch the table. It's already scratched, but so I'm just gonna hold it, cut it out. You just want to go down like that. This won't really be visible, so it doesn't matter too much. All it is so that the zip tie can go through and then wrap around the lowers of the fork to hold the mudguard securely in place. So just make a hole like this. One here, two on each side, as well as two, and then 1, 2, so that you have two zip ties for the brace of the fork, as well as one for each leg of the lower. You can also use a ruler to make sure that the cuts for each lower are like in line with each other. So just use a ruler. Just gonna eyeball the distance from this end as well. Just as long as they're close. They don't have to be perfect, but you can always use a ruler to just make it a bit more neat. Same for the other side. Do it like that. Just try and make sure that it's aligned with the front or the back. Generally, I like to go with the front end of the mudguard. Okay, so you've got like little trace outs for the cuts on this side. Hopefully you can see it. Yeah, so this hasn't been fully cut through. I'm just going to go in and make it a full cut like that. So we have now gone and made all the necessary holes. I have eyeballed most of it, pretty much all of it, and it has turned out pretty well, actually. Not as well as I had hoped, but you can easily fit zip ties through them, and it should hold for a good amount of time. Now, obviously, no mudguard will ever last forever. They do take a beating, and they are just pieces of plastic at the end of the day. So you will probably have to replace it, maybe around once a year, depending on how you ride. These are mainly to keep mud off your face. It won't protect your down tube very much. There are other protectors you can make for that or buy. So if you want to keep mud off your face, you can easily make one out of a folder like shown in this video, and it's also much cheaper than buying one for $12, because these folders cost maybe $3, $5 regularly, $3 on like back to school times. So you probably have one of these lying around in the house. I definitely did. So you can easily make a mudguard out of this, especially now in the rainy season here in North California. These definitely help. Definitely kept some serious mud out of my face.